Hey guys, today's topic is the masculine and feminine imbalance within society, which we are seeing manifest in extreme ways right now through mass shootings as well as through sexual assault against women. And the masculine and the feminine, they're present in everyone, not just women. You know, men have both parts, masculine and feminine. Women have both parts, masculine and feminine. Women just are a stronger embodiment of the feminine, and men are a slightly stronger embodiment of the masculine. And I'm going to read to you some qualities for both, and you'll see that both of them have value. And when we wrongly skew ourselves towards one side, we create this imbalance, and we also exacerbate the negatives that are associated with those strengths. So when something could be a great strength in one regard, can become a huge hindrance. And you see this all the time in society. You know, someone who is very outspoken, that's great in certain instances. In other instances, you know, you should not be speaking. So it's the ability to use both polarities in the right situations. And if we say only the masculine polarities are valuable and should be used, what happens is they start overrunning things. And that's what we're seeing here, is this extreme demonstration of the masculine qualities run wild. So I'm going to read to you first the masculine. Logic, reason, firm, rational, strength, adventurous. And now I'll read the feminine. Intuition, nurturing, gentle, emotional, flexible, patient. Now these are just a few of the qualities. There are more, of course, but those are some of the highlights of that. And as you can see, both of those sides are, and those types of qualities, they're beneficial. And downplaying them in the feminine nature is basically causing our society to be over masculinized, and that's resulting in these extreme scenarios, right? So if men, as they're growing up, are told they're not allowed to be emotional, and that being emotional or having emotions is a negative thing, and that maybe there's only certain emotions they're allowed to show, like anger or aggression, but if they show anything else that's like receptivity or patience or these other qualities, they're not as valued. So what happens is, you know, individuals grow up in this environment, and you see these extreme versions of, you know, mass shootings and other things, because people have strong emotions, they don't know how to deal with them, and they're told the only way we can deal with this is through the masculine. And the masculine is aggressive, and the masculine is taking action, and there's all these things, instead of teaching people to balance out these two sides of themselves. And this is kind of just showing up as really in our faces right now, because it has gotten very extreme. And we know that there's an imbalance, you know, in terms of just against, you know, women in our society, right? We're not paid as much. You know, the role of women in terms of taking care and nurturing is underplayed, you know, against, say, you're working in the business world. You know, and that's just reflected in the fact that we don't offer good maternal leave and other things, which actually is a really crucial role in our society. So, you know, we're creating these environments where the nurturing isn't even valued at all, and you should just be doing the masculine, which is, you know, to go out and work and be aggressive and, you know, do all these active type things, instead of these roles that are nurturing and passive and patient. So what this is creating in our society is such a skew towards the masculine that we're getting these, you know, aberrations towards the extremes. And, you know, sexual assault, that has a lot of different roots, but a large root is also that the masculine is allowed to do whatever they want with the feminine. And many generations of the male dominating the female has led to this strong sexual imbalance too, where men are over-sexualized and women are under-sexualized. And I actually believe that because of many generations where, you know, women were raped, forced into marriages, abused, you know, all these things associated with sex that were negative, they are bringing these forth in our current lifetimes, and we aren't able to enjoy sex as much. We don't have a strong sexual desire, you know, and we're seeing the men in the other extreme, where they're too sexualized, that they're, you know, rampant and they can't control these urges. And it's because we've forgotten the balance, right? We've forgotten that to keep everything in balance is actually going to benefit everyone, and it's going to benefit the masculine and the feminine. Now, we could have had a society where we went too far with the feminine qualities, right? But we're not seeing that. That's not our current situation. But right now it's the masculine, so we need to get the pendulum swinging back more towards the middle so that we can live in a more peaceful, harmonious society. And the sexual abuse, if you think about what men are told when they're younger, right? Anything about sex, a lot of times they're only told they can have sex in certain ways. They're shown things, they can't masturbate, they can't, watch porn, they can't do different things, and porn's a whole nother ball of wax. But basically, they're shown these very either restrictive or overly aggressive messages of sexuality, instead of a more balanced message of sexuality. And, the feminine aspect of that sexuality, the sensuality, the patience, the other things that are very important to sex as well, they're not being taught, and they're not even being discussed at all, I think, in a lot of scenarios. So they're just seeing these, aggressive states. And then men are put in environments where they say, oh, well, the feminine is something that can just be taken advantage of. They're weaker, right? That's not valued. Women aren't valued, so I can do what I want with them. I'm powerful. I'm masculine. And, that results in all these scenarios where women are taken advantage of, and, men are exerting themselves because they're not balanced out with their feminine nature. So it's just been interesting to see everything going on in the news lately, because we've, of course, continue to have many mass shootings. We continue to see a lot of people talking about sexual assault, and it's just coming sort of to a head right now. And I think if we can balance out some of the masculine and feminine qualities in our society, and there's various ways we can do that. We can do that in our own daily life, in how we treat people of the different sexes, and allowing people to show emotion, allowing our children to show emotion, and constructively teaching them how to deal with those emotions when they arise. And when you're raising a boy, that you don't just value those masculine traits and push them towards guns and other things. Our whole society has these structures geared towards children being raised in these very gender specific ways, and that's hurting us as a society. That's hurting people as an individual. So being cognizant of that as we're raising our children, and being cognizant of how we're treating, everyone, and how we're even a man, right? If a man shows sensitivity, not judging him for that, not saying something about that, right? You see, like, especially adolescent boys, they'll pick on a child who is showing, some sort of, receptive type behavior or not aggressive type behavior. And those are things that they're taught, through society. Oh, that's weak. Can't be weak. So all of these things are ways that we can start working in our own lives. And then, of course, at the legislative level, working towards equality and making sure that people who commit sexual assault and activities like that they are held accountable, that it's not just, oh, that's how men are. No, that's not how men are, right? And if they are that way, they shouldn't be that way. So it's balancing that out. And I think men have actually been done a huge disservice through this process, because they've basically been denied the feminine side of their nature. Now, women are actually kind of given more flexibility to be more masculine as well as be feminine. So that's why I think, women can be more balanced in this environment, and the men are sort of getting even more extreme because they're not allowed to show that feminine side. They're not allowed to explore that and keep that balanced within them, because society is showing them so many ways that they can't be that way, right? They have to be this dominant, strong. And those qualities are wonderful, but they aren't always the quality that needs to be demonstrated, right? Everything in balance. So I hope that all the stuff that's going on right now will bring our society to a better understanding of where we need to go, and the type of education and laws and other things that will help us, foster an environment where we're more balanced in the masculine and feminine. All right, thanks, guys.